China is stepping up its influence campaign in Taiwan ahead of a pivotal presidential election. The clock is ticking on TikTok. Will the app be banned in the United States? Ramadan Mubarak. See how Muslims in Taiwan celebrate the holy month. Plus, this year's National Indigenous Games have kicked off in Taipei with visitors from New Zealand. Hello and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. Starting off in Taiwan news, Chinese influence operations in the country have increased a lot in the first 3 months of this year. That's according to the chair of Doublethink Lab, a Taiwanese organization that researchers malign Chinese influence overseas. James Chater has this report.
The Chinese government is reportedly stepping up efforts to influence Taiwan's politics and society ahead of a crucial election in 2024. That's according to Puma Shen, the chair of Doublethink Lab, an independent organization that researches China's overseas influence.
Starting from last December, actually after our recent election, there are more and more, a lot of United Front work activities right now here in Taiwan, a lot.
The United Front Work Department is the part of China's government responsible for Beijing's global influence operations. Shen said that over the past 3 months, the body renewed efforts to invite local Taiwanese politicians and religious groups to Beijing, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory. His comments come soon after a Reuters report citing a classified Taiwanese security memo. That document said China would this year ramp up charm offensive tactics to influence the outcome of Taiwan's presidential election. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Doublethink Lab recently published its China Index, which measures the extent of China's influence in other countries. Overall, Taiwan placed 11th of 82 countries for Chinese influence across a range of areas. But when it comes to society and media, the index showed Taiwan was a country most impacted by China.
China's desire to influence Taiwanese minds is nothing new. What's changing is how they do it, simultaneously building both personal connections and social media presence. But shifting to is the international response, with fears over China's global technological influence, especially through the app TikTok, now reaching fever pitch.
In Washington, D.C., TikTok's CEO faced tough questions from US lawmakers on the video app's relationship to Beijing-based parent company ByteDance, with a pointed question too on Taiwan.
Can you say with 100% certainty that ByteDance or the CCP cannot use your company or its divisions to heat content to promote pro-CCP messages for an act of aggression against Taiwan?
We do not promote or remove content at the request of the Chinese government.
The question is, are you 100% certain that they cannot use your company to promote such messages?
It is our commitment to this committee and all our users that we will keep this free from any manipulation by any government.
If you can't.
It's estimated TikTok has more than 4 million users in Taiwan, just under 20% of the country's population. Taiwan's pivotal presidential election is scheduled for early next year. And with that at the forefront of Taiwanese minds, concern over Chinese influence operations are unlikely to subside. Ricky and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
As James just mentioned, Taiwan is not the only country concerned about China's influence. In the U.S., TikTok CEO Shou Zi-Chew was grilled for more than 5 hours by Congress amid a push for the app to be banned. Some U.S. lawmakers believe the Chinese-owned app is a threat to U.S. national security. Bing Wang reports.
TikTok CEO Shou Zi-Chew faced a barrage of questions at a U.S. congressional hearing on Thursday. The lawmaker's main concern about the social media app that users' personal data is being collected by the Chinese government.
TikTok collects nearly every data point imaginable, from people's location to what they type and copy, who they talk to, biometric data, and more. Even if they've never been on TikTok, your trackers are embedded in sites across the web. TikTok surveils us all. And the Chinese Communist Party is able to use this as a tool to manipulate America as a whole.
Since its global release in 2017, billions of people around the world have downloaded TikTok, including 150 million active users in the United States. That's almost half the country's population. The Chinese mobile app allows users to create and watch short videos. Popular videos include dancing, singing, and even political commentary. Influencers have even used the app as a platform to extend their reach. TikTok CEO Seoul says the app does not collect data for the Chinese government.
We do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users. We do not. We do not promote or remove content at the request of the Chinese government.
Over the past few months, several countries, including the US and Canada, as well as the European Union, have banned TikTok on all government-issued devices. US lawmakers now want to take it a step further. They're calling for a complete ban of the app unless Chinese investors sell their stake in the platform. But a complete ban on TikTok is raising concerns about free speech. Hundreds protested outside the US Capitol to protest the move.
We can keep TikTok, we can protect freedom of speech, and we could deal with the privacy concerns at the same time. We could do both, and right now we're not trying to do both.
TikTok supporters say the app isn't dangerous and can spread awareness of various issues.
TikTok's been instrumental in accelerating my advocacy, and I know that I'm not alone. It's become a vital platform for advocates across society and across the political spectrum to connect, share their stories, and help change people's lives.
But US politicians are unconvinced. They have introduced a bill that will block Americans from accessing the mobile application. And with bipartisan support, the clock might be ticking for TikTok's spot in the App Store. Howard Zhang and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
With tensions rising, a former White House security advisor is warning Taiwan and the U.S. to prepare for war with China.
When the dictators say something, we need to listen to them. It may not be rational, and it wouldn't be rational for China to invade Taiwan, just like it certainly wasn't rational for Russia to invade Ukraine. But when the dictators speak, we have to take them seriously at their word. And so we need to prepare, and we need to do everything we can to deter the dictators from taking that course of action.
Robert O'Brien served as U.S. National Security Advisor under the Trump administration. He was speaking at the end of a 5-day trip to Taiwan, where he received an award from President Tsai Ing-wen. O'Brien told Tsai that he believes the U.S. will stand with the country in the event of an attack by China. Despite those warnings, the United States Air Force Secretary says it's unlikely that China will try to invade Taiwan anytime soon. Frank Kendall was speaking on the sidelines of a defense conference in Singapore on Thursday. But Kendall also says Chinese activity could damage stability in the Indo-Pacific region. He singled out actions in the South and East China Seas, where China has territorial disputes with several nations.
China has done a number of things that are fairly aggressive in the region. The South China Sea, obviously expanding their role there and militarizing that. They've had some much more aggressive behaviors around Taiwan with regard to the Senkakus as well. So Chinese behavior has not, in many cases, been consistent with keeping a stable situation here.
The largest ever Czech delegation to visit Taiwan will arrive on Saturday. It will include around 150 business people, lawmakers, and others. For more, TaiwanPlus reporter Louise Watt spoke to Marcin Jezewski, an analyst at the Taipei office of the Czech think tank, the European Values Center for Security Policy.
A Czech delegation arrives in Taiwan on Saturday. How significant is this visit?
This delegation is a strong sign that Czechia seeks to position itself at the very forefront of European efforts to develop informal, albeit substantive relations with Taiwan. It's one of the largest delegations from Europe in general to come to Taiwan in its modern history. The delegation is led by Markéta Pekarová-Adamová, the Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies of the Parliament of the Czech Republic. But the meaning of the delegation goes beyond just exchanges between members of parliament. Among the delegation are representatives of the business sector, but notably also of several government agencies, including the National Cybersecurity Agency of the Czech Republic. This really goes to show that Czechia has a very pragmatic attitude to developing its ties with Taiwan and looks forward to connecting officials on the working level in both governments.
Why does the Czech Republic or Czechia want to develop relations with Taiwan?
I think that there are two dimensions behind the momentum in Taiwan-Czechia relations, which is manifesting itself in the upcoming delegation. The first is normative. One of the key political leaders of modern Czechia, often referred to as the father of Czech democracy, Václav Havel, was a leader very friendly towards the Taiwanese cause. And the current government and also the recently elected president, Petr Pavel, speak openly about their desire to continue implementing the legacy of Václav Havel in their foreign policy. But then there are also pragmatic considerations. Taiwan has already proven itself to be one of the biggest investors in Czechia, creating multiple jobs through its investments. A hope of the incoming delegation that this economic cooperation can not only continue but actually grow.
That was Marcin Jezewski, an analyst at the Taipei office of the Czech think tank, the European Value Center for Security Policy. An investigation into clashes between demonstrators and police 9 years ago has found multiple government agencies were at fault. Friday is the anniversary of an unsuccessful attempt by protesters to occupy the Executive Yuan building. The incident was a part of what became known as the Sunflower Movement. A report by Taiwan's government supervisory body says police used excessive force to disperse protesters. It has also found agencies, including the Taipei prosecutor's office, underreported the number of injured. The incident in 2014 came after students and civic groups had already occupied Taiwan's legislature. They were protesting a trade agreement with China, which was later scrapped. It's Ramadan, a time for followers of Islam around the world to express their spirituality. Those observing the month-long occasion must fast during the daytime. Bing Wang went to the Taipei Grand Mosque to see how Muslims in Taiwan observe the holy month.
It's Friday, the most important day of prayer for Muslims. But this week, it's even more special, as it's also the first Friday since the start of Ramadan. This is the Taipei Grand Mosque, the largest and the oldest mosque in Taiwan. Over 1,000 people have come here for their weekly Friday prayers. That's 5 times more than regular, as Ramadan means more devotion to their faith and spirituality. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. It's considered the most sacred, as Muslims believe this is when the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad. During the holy month, 2 billion Muslims around the world fast in the daytime and devote more time to their faith.
不吃不喝，那不吃不喝并不是叫你减肥，而是给你一些斋戒的意义。在这个斋戒期间里面，你有一些事情可以做，有一些事情不可以做。只有这个斋戒是做给自己看的，因为你偷吃偷喝，没有人看得见。那穆斯林的公休是对自己、对安拉的一个负责。
The previous evening, over 300 Muslims gathered here to celebrate the first iftar, the meal that breaks the day of fasting during Ramadan. It brings communities together to celebrate the blessings of the holy month. There are more than 300,000 Muslims in Taiwan, making up 1.3% of the country's population. Many are migrants from Southeast Asia, some are converts, and others came to Taiwan over decades from majority Islamic areas in China. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation ranks Taiwan second to Singapore among the top non-Islamic destinations for Muslims in the world.
是一个开放而且宽容的社会，大家都互相尊重，因此在这方面的话，我们感觉到 Muslim 在台湾会是觉得他在一个友善的社会里面，因为在台湾的环境里面，各种宗教都在做他们自己自由的去实行他们的教规，做他们的行为。
At the end of Ramadan, Muslims will be celebrating Eid, the most important day of the Islamic year, and the Taipei city government is planning events around the occasion. At a time when religious freedoms are under threat across the world, and many Muslims are facing Islamophobia, Muslims here feel they can openly celebrate their culture and their faith. Damon Lin and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, how do you get kids comfortable with hospitals? You hold a teddy bear clinic. Find out more after the break.
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world. Charted by the freest country in Asia.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Ian Kavat. Taiwanese semiconductor giant TSMC.
Public buses to be electric by 2030. A mission that begins with listening.
And telling the stories of Taiwan.
In Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Drawing insight from original thinkers.
And sharing it with the world. TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. In international news, North Korea says it has tested a nuclear-capable underwater attack drone that can generate what it calls a radioactive tsunami. According to state television, this new drone cruised underwater for about 60 hours off North Korea's east coast earlier this week. State television also showed images of cruise missile launches. Pyongyang is blaming joint military drills by South Korea and the United States for raising tensions in the region. In Europe, over 1 million people took to the streets across France on Thursday in the latest protests against the law raising the country's retirement age. The law increases the pensionable age from 62 to 64, sparking a wave of protests and strikes across the country. Protests were largely peaceful, but there have been reports of clashes with police in Paris. French President Emmanuel Macron used a provision in the Constitution to push the law through without a vote. However, France's Constitutional Court could still intervene to reject the legislation. Delegates at the UN Water Conference are calling for solutions to the world's clean water shortage. But while money has been pledged and ideas put forward, the conference isn't expected to lead to a plan of action or a binding deal. John Van Trieste reports.
At the United Nations headquarters in New York, all eyes are on the issue of water. According to UN figures, a quarter of the world's people lack safe drinking water, and half of all people don't have access to basic sanitation. These are problems the UN aims to solve as part of its 17-point Sustainable Development Campaign. And so, since Wednesday, delegates from around the world have been gathered for a 3-day water conference. From the beginning, the warnings have been dire.
We are draining humanity's lifeblood through vampiric overconsumption and unsustainable use, and evaporating it through global eating. We've broken the water cycle, destroyed ecosystems, and contaminated groundwater. Nearly 3 out of 4 natural disasters are linked to water.
Human beings have now already crossed planetary boundaries in many areas. We are stepping towards catastrophes by accelerating climate change, aggravating the quality of water, and drastically reducing biodiversity.
Some delegates placed hope in technology and international cooperation.
تقود المملكة العالم في إنتاج المياه غير التقليدية من خلال تحلية مياه البحر لإنتاج مياه الشرب وتعكف على تقليل الأثر البيئي، لذلك من خلال ما يعرف بالصفر رجيع ملحي وسجلت عدة براءات اختراع في ذلك.
Others pledged money on behalf of their governments.
That's why I am proud to announce that the United States is committing $49 billion toward equitable, climate-resilient water and sanitation investments at home and around the globe.
But the conference isn't intended to come up with any binding results and is unlikely to end with many answers. Here in Taiwan, water shortages persist. Taiwan's southern region is in the middle of a historic drought, with reservoirs running dry. As droughts like this become more frequent and severe, a solution to the world's water problems remains elusive. Howard Zhang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Later this year, Australians will vote on whether to constitutionally recognize Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Australia's Indigenous peoples have lived there for more than 60,000 years, but they are not mentioned in the 122-year-old Constitution. The referendum would create a consultative committee in Parliament. This body would provide guidance on issues that affect the country's First Nations people. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese became emotional as he and Indigenous leaders announced the referendum. The vote will be next fall.
If not now, when? That is an opportunity. That doesn't belong to the politicians. It belongs to every Australian equally. One person, one vote. People from all faiths, backgrounds and traditions. All of us will have an equal say. All of us can own an equal share of what I believe will be an inspiring and unifying Australian moment.
Meanwhile, back in Taiwan, the National Indigenous Games opened on Friday. The annual event brings together Indigenous communities from around Taiwan and features other Austronesian competitors as well. Harrell Hughes has this report.
The sounds of Taiwan's Indigenous people. There are 16 officially recognized Indigenous communities in Taiwan, and the athletes from each of these groups are currently gearing up for this year's National Indigenous Games. Kicking off on Friday, Austronesian athletes from various countries will also be competing. In total, more than 8,300 people will take part in 17 events. And for the first time ever, the Maori, the Indigenous people of New Zealand, will be there.
Being in Taiwan for the first time is it's a bit of an amazing experience. Different culture, a bit of a culture shock because not many people can speak English, so it's hard to do that communication bit there. But you know, still when you're amongst Indigenous people, you just kind of just vibe together, and it's pretty good, pretty choice.
37 Maori athletes arrived last week to learn traditional Taiwanese techniques, and they took the time to perform the famous kapa haka at the opening ceremony. The event aims to deepen exchanges between Austronesian peoples of Taiwan and the wider Pacific region. The games are split into two categories, athletics and tradition. Athletics will feature track and field, basketball, judo, baseball, and other non-Olympic sports. Traditional events, on the other hand, include hunting, weight-bearing, tug-of-war, wrestling, dragon boat racing, and archery. For the competitors, representing their communities is a true honor.
我们参加射箭呢，不为的就是让自己的心灵更上一层，那射箭达到一个最高的境界。那全员运动会，这就是我们的最高境界。所以我们能够今天站到这一起，成为一个台北市的代表队，就是一个光荣。
The event will also feature the totems and languages of various groups for visitors to learn about the indigenous cultures of Taiwan. After today's opening ceremony, there will be a 3-day event featuring indigenous crafts, foods, and cultural events. The games will run until March 27th and are sure to showcase all that Taiwan's indigenous athletes have to offer. Eason Penn and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Going to the hospital can be an extremely stressful experience, especially for young children. To try and remedy this, a clinic in Belgium is working to get younger patients more comfortable in medical environments with the help of some cuddly toys. Welcome to Belgium's Teddy Bears Clinic. Here, medical students perform checkups on stuffed animals, explaining to kids what they're doing.
Je me présente, je suis Yelty, je suis docteur, je suis noursologue et je vais m'occuper de ton petit nounours qui s'appelle ma fille, d'accord?
The children learn how to listen to heartbeats and about being prepped for operations or scans. This is all meant to make them more familiar with doctors and hospitals in case they ever need to be treated themselves.
Eh bien, en fait, les enfants, lorsqu'ils connaissent pas quelque chose, ils ont énormément d'appréhension et ils sont moins collaborants lors des soins. Et le fait de venir à la clinique des nounours, ça leur permet de découvrir le monde médical, de comprendre comment il fonctionne et de pouvoir aussi interagir avec des professionnels de santé dans un contexte de jeu, un contexte où eux sont là en tant qu'accompagnants et pas en tant que patients. Et de ce fait-là, ils en ressortent grandis avec une meilleure connaissance du monde médical et ils l'abordent beaucoup plus sereinement par la suite lorsqu'ils sont, si un jour ils y sont confrontés en tant que patients.
The idea for this program originated in Germany, and it's been running in Belgium since 2012. it's helping demystify visits to the doctor for thousands of children.
Et depuis 2012, il y a 6291 nounours qui ont déjà été soignés ici à la clinique.
So now, thanks to these clinics, when the children do eventually have to go see the doctor, they'll hopefully find it much more bearable. A zebra that escaped from a zoo in South Korea has been recaptured. Bemused onlookers watched as the zebra walked around busy streets and residential areas in Seoul on Thursday. Rescue workers subdued the animal with a tranquilizer dart and returned it safely to the park it had escaped from. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, a baboon is still on the loose. The non-native animal has been spotted several times in northern Taiwan's Taoyuan city, but it has so far evaded capture. Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. Remember to download the Taiwan Plus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, check out these shots of a 40-ton fin whale swimming off Spain's Valencia coast. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.